The Galactic Council station floated in the darkness of space like a massive jewel. It had been there for thousands of years, a meeting place for the 12 great species that ruled the galaxy. Today, something new was happening. Humans were coming for the first time. Doyen checked his uniform one more time. He was young for an ambassador, only 32, but Earth had chosen him carefully. He had studied alien cultures for years, preparing for this moment. Beside him, Hana adjusted the containers they had brought as gifts. She was the chief science officer, and her sharp eyes missed nothing. Nervous? Hana asked with a small smile. Terrified, Doyen admitted. We only get one first impression. The doors opened with a soft sound. The council chamber was enormous, built to hold creatures of many different sizes. Doyen felt very small as he walked in. The council members watched them enter. Some looked like giant crystals that glowed with inner light. Others were covered in scales or fur or stranger things. One looked like it was made of living water. At the center sat Vexthar, the council prime. He was tall, almost 3 meters, and his crystalline body shimmered with colors Doyen had no names for. His voice sounded like wind chimes when he spoke. Welcome, humans of Earth. We have waited long to meet you. Doyen bowed, the way he had practiced. Thank you, honored council. We are grateful to be here. The council members leaned forward, studying the two humans with obvious curiosity. Doyen could hear them whispering to each other in languages his translator struggled to follow. They are so small, one said. And soft-looking, another added. No natural armor at all. Look how they move. So careful, so aware of each other. Rill Nash, a being that looked like a giant mantis made of metal, clicked his mandibles together. He was the military observer, responsible for assessing new species. Tell us about your world, humans. What kind of place creates beings like you? Hana stepped forward. This was her area. Earth is what we call a death world. High gravity, extreme weather, dangerous animals. Life there had to be tough to survive. Several council members made sounds of surprise. Vexthar's light pulsed brighter. A death world? But you seem so fragile. We are fragile, Doyen agreed. Our bodies break easily. We have no claws, no armor, no venom, but we survived anyway. How? Rill Nash asked, genuinely curious. We think, Hana said simply. We make tools. We work together. We adapt. Doyen opened the first gift container. We brought things to share with you. Things that show who we are. He pulled out a small device. This plays music from our world. The soft sound of a piano filled the chamber. The alien melody was strange to the council members, but something about it touched them. Several of them swayed slightly, moved by the emotion in the notes. Next came paintings, photographs of Earth's beauty, and samples of food carefully chosen to be safe for different biologies. The council members passed the items around, fascinated by these glimpses of human culture. You create art, Vexthar observed. Not for function, but for beauty alone. Yes, Doyen said. Beauty is important to us. It gives life meaning. A council member that looked like a floating brain in a jar spoke up. We have reviewed your application to join the galactic community. Your technology is adequate. Your culture is interesting. But we have concerns. Doyen's heart beat faster. What concerns? You are small in number. Only one world. Your bodies are vulnerable. The galaxy can be dangerous for species that cannot defend themselves. The brain creature pulsed. We worry for your safety. Rill Nash clicked agreement. I have seen your military capabilities in the data you provided. They are minimal, basic projectile weapons, simple defensive systems. If a hostile species decided to attack Earth, you would struggle to survive. Hana's expression didn't change, but Doyen noticed her hand tighten slightly on her datapad. She said nothing. Vexthar raised one crystalline arm. Therefore, the council has made a decision. We will grant you membership, but with a special classification. You will be designated as a protected species. Protected species? Doyen asked. Yes, it means the council takes responsibility for your safety. Other species are forbidden from attacking or exploiting you. In return, you accept certain limitations. You may not build large military forces. You may not claim more than 3-star systems as territory. You will operate under council oversight. The other council members nodded and made sounds of agreement. They seemed pleased with this solution. Doyen looked at Hana. She gave him the smallest nod. They had discussed this possibility during the journey here. We accept, Doyen said, bowing again. We are grateful for the council's protection and wisdom. Vexithar's colors brightened with what might have been pleasure. Excellent. Welcome to the galactic community, little humans. We will keep you safe. The ceremony continued for another hour. Treaties were signed. Promises were made. The council members came forward one by one to greet the humans personally. They patted Doyen on the head or shoulder, the way one might pet a beloved animal. They made comments about how cute humans were, how expressive their faces were, how interesting their emotions seemed. Doyen smiled and accepted it all graciously. This was what they had expected. Let the aliens think humans were harmless. Let them feel protective and superior. It was easier this way. As the ceremony ended, Real Nash approached them one last time. I hope you do not take offense at the protected species designation. We truly mean it for your benefit. No offense taken, Doyen assured him. We understand we are new here. We have much to learn. Good, good. Real Nash seemed relieved. I look forward to seeing how your species develops under council guidance. You are quite charming, really. I suspect humans will become quite popular among the other species. After Real Nash left, Hana leaned close to Doyen. Popular, she whispered. Like pets. I know, Doyen said quietly, but it's better than being seen as a threat. For now. Hana's fingers moved across her data pad, making notes no one else could see. She had been carefully observing everything. The station's defenses, the weapons the security forces carried, the way different species moved and fought. Every detail went into her files. Did you notice, she said softly, how none of them asked about our history? They looked at our current military and assumed that's all we're capable of. Yes, Doyen said. They don't know about our past. They don't know what we survived to get here. Should we tell them? Doyen watched the council members leaving the chamber, chatting amongst themselves, already dismissing the humans as a minor curiosity. No, let them learn on their own, if they ever need to. Hana smiled, but there was something cold in it. Protected species. They have no idea what they're protecting everyone else from. They left the chamber together, two small humans in a galaxy of giants. Behind them, the council continued their business, confident they had made the right choice. The humans seemed so gentle, so emotional, so eager to please. They were adorable, really. None of the council members wondered why a species from a death world would need to be so very good at appearing harmless. 6 months had passed since humanity joined the galactic community, and the galaxy had fallen in love with them. Minho stood in the crowded marketplace on station Kepler 442, haggling with a Thraxian merchant over the price of engine parts. The merchant, a large reptilian creature named Krith, kept trying to raise the price, but he was smiling while he did it. You are impossible. Little human, Krith said, his scales rippling with amusement. This is the 3rd time this week you have come to bargain with me. Because your prices are the best, Minho said cheerfully. And because you always give me tea. It was true. Krith had started brewing a special blend just for Minho's visits. The human had admired Krith's tea set during their first meeting, and now the merchant insisted on serving tea during every negotiation. It had become a ritual between them. You know, Krith said, pouring the steaming liquid carefully. In my culture, sharing tea like this means we are family, not by blood but by choice. Minho's face lit up with genuine joy. Really, that's wonderful. I'd be honored to be your tea family, Krith. Krith made a rumbling sound deep in his throat, the Thraxian version of a laugh. You humans are strange. You bond with everyone. I have heard stories of humans who became friends with the cleaning robots on their ships. They gave them names. Well, yes, Minho said, as if this was perfectly normal. The robots work hard. They deserve names and appreciation. Across the galaxy, this was happening everywhere. Humans were spreading out into the stars, and wherever they went, they made friends. They were curious about everything, asked endless questions, and seemed genuinely interested in every species they met. On Research Station Omega, Yuna worked alongside a mixed crew of engineers. She was the only human, but she had quickly become the heart of the team. She remembered everyone's important dates, brought treats that worked for different biologies, and somehow always knew when someone was having a bad day. Yuna, you do not need to help me, said Kalesh, a spider-like engineer with 8 arms. This is not your assigned task. I know, Yuna said, carefully welding a connection point. But you've been working for 12 hours straight. I wanted to help so you could rest sooner. Kalesh's multiple eyes blinked in confusion. Why would you care about my rest period? Because we're a team, Yuna said simply. Your well-being matters to me. This concept was strange to many aliens. In their cultures, you worked with your own species, your own family groups. But humans seemed to extend their circle of care to include anyone they spent time with. They called their co-workers friends. They worried about acquaintances as if they were relatives. They even mourned when they heard about tragedies happening to species they had never met. Back on Earth, Jiwan ran the cultural exchange program. Her job was to teach aliens about human culture and learn about theirs in return. Today she was hosting a group of young aliens on a tour of a human city. Why is that human crying? Asked one of the visitors, pointing at a woman sitting on a bench. Jiwan looked. Oh, she's watching the sunset. Some humans cry when they see something beautiful. That makes no sense, the alien said. Crying is for pain or distress. For humans, strong emotions make us cry, Jiwan explained. Joy, sadness, beauty, love, it's all connected. The aliens found this fascinating and confusing in equal measure. They took videos and notes studying these emotional creatures like scientists observing a new species. In a way, that's exactly what they were doing. Human entertainment became wildly popular across the galaxy. Human movies, with their focus on relationships and emotions, were unlike anything other species created. Aliens watched them the way humans might watch nature documentaries, fascinated by these strange beings who felt everything so deeply. Human music spread even faster. Something about it resonated across species barriers. Scientists studied this phenomenon, trying to understand why human melodies affected so many different kinds of brains. It is because they put their emotions directly into the sound, one researcher concluded. You do not just hear human music. You feel what the human was feeling when they created it. Back on station Kepler 442, Minho had become something of a celebrity. Other merchants would visit Krith's stall just to see the human who treated everyone like family. They brought their children to meet him. They asked him questions about Earth. They gave him small gifts. You are good for business, Krith told him one day. Everyone wants to meet you. They find you. What is the word? Adorable. Minho laughed. I'm a 30-year-old man. I'm not sure I should be called adorable. But you are, Krith insisted. All humans are. The way you smile at everyone. The way you remember small details about people's lives. The way you bond with anything that moves. It is endearing. Krith wasn't wrong. Across the galaxy, humans had earned a reputation for being the friendliest species anyone had ever met. They were easy to work with, eager to please, and genuinely kind. Other species started requesting human crew members specifically because they made ships feel more like homes, but not everyone was pleased with humanity's growing popularity. In the darker corners of the galaxy, pirates and criminals took note of these soft, trusting creatures. Humans carried valuable trade goods. They traveled to dangerous places without seeming to understand the risks, and they were classified as a protected species, which meant most of them traveled unarmed. Easy targets, the pirates said to each other, rich and naive. A pirate captain named Scarvin studied footage of humans going about their daily business. They smiled at everyone. They assumed the best of people. They seemed to have no concept of danger. Look at them, Scarvin said to his crew, walking around like they own the galaxy, completely unaware that they're prey. His crew clicked and hissed in agreement. They had been watching a particular human trader who traveled a regular route through an isolated sector. The human traveled with only one companion, a Thraxian merchant. No weapons. No guards, perfect. We take them next week, Scarvin decided. The human will have valuable cargo, and will send a message that protected species status doesn't mean much in lawless space. His crew cheered. It would be easy money. Back on the station, Minho finished his business with Krith. They had finally agreed on a price for the engine parts, and Minho was pleased with the deal. Same time next week? Minho asked. Of course, Krith said warmly. I will brew the good tea. As Minho left, Krith watched him go with genuine fondness. In just 6 months, this human had become one of his closest friends. The idea of anything happening to Minho made Krith's scales itch with discomfort. Little human, Krith muttered to himself. Too trusting, too kind. The galaxy is not always kind to gentle souls. He didn't know how right he was. On Earth, Hana was in a meeting with military officials. They were discussing the expansion of human merchant routes into less secure areas of the galaxy. The council believes we need protection, one general said with barely hidden frustration. They see us as helpless. Let them, Hana said calmly. It's useful, is it? Our people are traveling into dangerous territory thinking they're safe because of that protected species label. Hana pulled up a file on her screen. Every human who travels has received training. They know what to do if threatened. They're just very good at not looking like they know. The general studied the file, then nodded slowly. So we're playing a part. We're being ourselves, Hana corrected. Humans are social. We do bond easily. We are kind and trusting. But we're also survivors. Those traits aren't contradictory. They're complementary. And if someone tests us? Hana's expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in her eyes. Then they'll learn why Deathworld species are called Deathworld species. But hopefully it won't come to that. In space, Minho's ship prepared for next week's journey. He was excited to travel with Krith to the merchant's homeworld. He had never been there before, and Krith had promised to introduce him to his family. Minho hummed while he worked, preparing cargo and planning the route. He was genuinely happy, genuinely excited, genuinely looking forward to the adventure. He didn't notice the small ships that had started following his routes, watching his patterns, planning their move. The galaxy still thought humans were adorable, harmless, naive. That was about to change. The asteroid field was supposed to be empty. That's what the navigation chart said. That's what Minho had believed when he plotted the course to Krith's homeworld. He believed it right up until the ships appeared. Minho, Krith said quietly, his scales turning a pale color that meant fear. Those are not merchant vessels. Minho's hands moved across the controls, checking sensors. 5 ships, all armed, all moving to surround them. His heart started beating faster, but his hands stayed steady. Pirates, he said calmly. I'm sending a distress signal. They will jam it, Krith said. His voice was shaking. This is an ambush zone. I should have known better than to take this route. I am sorry, my friend. I have killed us both. We're not dead yet, Minho said. Something in his voice had changed. The cheerful trader was gone, replaced by someone cooler, more focused. The lead pirate ship hailed them. Scarvin's face appeared on the screen, all fangs and confidence. Human vessel, cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resist and we will destroy you. Minho smiled, but it wasn't his usual warm smile. We're just traders. We don't have anything worth taking. Let me be the judge of that, Scarvin said. Shut down your engines now. Minho complied, powering down. Beside him, Krith was breathing hard, preparing for death. In his culture, being killed by pirates was considered a shameful way to die. I am sorry, Krith said again. You came to visit my family, and instead I led you to this. It's not your fault, Minho said. His fingers were moving across a panel beneath his seat, entering commands Krith couldn't see. Just stay behind me when they board. Don't do anything heroic. Behind you? Minho, I am 3 times your size. I should protect you. Krith, Minho said, and his voice had a quality Krith had never heard before. Hard, cold, like metal. Trust me. Stay behind me. The pirate ship docked with theirs. Krith heard the airlock cycling, heard heavy footsteps in the corridor. 3 pirates entered the bridge, weapons raised. They looked at the 2 traders and laughed. A human and a Thraxian, the lead pirate said. This will be easy. Please, Minho said, raising his hands. We'll cooperate. Just don't hurt my friend. The pirate stepped closer, reaching for Minho with a clawed hand. Shut up, little human. You're coming with us. Humans fetch good prices on the slave markets. That was a mistake. Krith saw Minho move, but he couldn't understand what he was seeing. One moment, Minho had his hands up, looking helpless. The next moment, the pirate was on the ground screaming, his arm bent at an angle that was definitely wrong. The second pirate raised his weapon, but Minho was already moving. He grabbed a heavy tool from the nearby workbench and threw it with shocking accuracy. It hit the pirate's weapon hand and the gun clattered to the floor. The third pirate fired, but Minho had already dropped and rolled. The shot missed. Before the pirate could fire again, Minho was on him, moving with a speed and efficiency that seemed impossible for someone who spent his days drinking tea and haggling over prices. It was over in less than 15 seconds. 3 armed pirates were on the ground, disarmed, injured, and completely confused about what had just happened. Minho stood over them, breathing hard, and Krith saw something in his friend's eyes he had never seen before. Something dangerous, something that had been hidden beneath all that warmth and kindness. "Krith," Minho said, his voice still calm. "Open the emergency weapons locker. Code is 7724. You have weapons?" Krith's voice came out as a squeak. "You said you were a traitor." "I am a traitor," Minho said, keeping his eyes on the pirates. "Now please open the locker." Krith did as he was told, his claws shaking. Inside the locker were weapons he didn't recognize. Human designs. Military grade. "Take the pulse rifle," Minho instructed. "If any more pirates come through that door, point it at them and pull the trigger." "Can you do that?" Krith nodded, unable to speak. On the pirate ship, Scarvin was getting impatient. "What's taking so long?" He keyed his comm. "Report." Silence. Team 1, report. Still nothing. Scarvin felt the first flutter of concern. He sent 3 more pirates to investigate. They found their teammates bound with cargo straps, stripped of their weapons, and very much awake to warn them. "It's a trap," one of them shouted. "The human is—" That's when Minho disabled the lights in the corridor. What happened next? Scarvin only heard through the screaming on the comm. His pirates were trained fighters, but something was wrong. They couldn't see the human in the dark. But the human could clearly see them. Or maybe the human didn't need to see. Maybe the human hunted by sound, by movement, by instinct Scarvin didn't understand. One by one, his team stopped responding. "All ships, fire on the human vessel," Scarvin ordered, his confidence crumbling into panic. But before his ships could fire, something else appeared on the sensors. A human cargo vessel appearing from behind a large asteroid. "This is Captain Tajan of the Earth vessel Morning Star," a calm voice said over the open channel. "You have attacked my brother." "That was unwise." "Your brother?" Scarvin said. "This is none of your—" The Morning Star launched a missile. Not at Scarvin's ship, but past it, close enough that his shield screamed with proximity warnings. "That was a warning shot," Tajan said, and his voice was pleasant, almost friendly. "The next one won't miss. Detach from my brother's ship and leave now." "You're a cargo vessel," Scarvin said, but his voice lacked confidence. "You can't have military-grade weapons. It's against Council law." "We're a protected species," Tajan said. "We're allowed to defend ourselves when the Council isn't around to protect us. Now, are you leaving? Or am I filing a salvage claim on 5 pirate vessels?" The Morning Star's weapons systems lit up. Scarvin stared at the readings in disbelief. That was definitely not standard cargo ship equipment. "Retreat," he ordered his ships. "Disengage and retreat." The pirate ships detached and jumped away, leaving 6 of their crew behind. They wouldn't be coming back for them. On Minho's ship, the lights came back on. Minho stood in the corridor, surrounded by unconscious or moaning pirates, not a scratch on him. He was breathing hard and his hands were shaking slightly, but his eyes were alert. Krith stared at him. "Who are you?" "I'm Minho," he said, and the warmth was creeping back into his voice. "Your friend. I'm still me, but you moved like... You fought like someone from a death world," Minho finished. He looked down at the pirates and there was something sad in his expression. "I'm sorry you had to see that. I know it changes how you see me." Tajan's ship docked with theirs. When the captain entered, Krith saw the family resemblance immediately. Same eyes, same calm demeanor, same sense of hidden danger beneath a friendly surface. "You okay, little brother?" Tajan asked. "Fine, you?" "Didn't even have to fire a real shot. They scared easy." Tajan looked at the pirates on the floor. "Though it looks like you didn't need my help anyway." "I had it under control," Minho agreed. "But thank you for the backup." Tajan turned to Krith. "You must be Krith. Minho talks about you all the time. Sorry we're meeting under these circumstances." Krith found his voice. You knew there would be pirates." "Suspected," Tajan corrected. Minho's route was predictable. He was becoming a target, so I followed at a distance just in case. "But the weapons," Krith said. "The way you both fight. This is not what traitors do." The brothers exchanged a look. Minho sighed. "Krith, we are traitors. That's not a lie. But before we were traitors, we were soldiers. Most humans who travel into deep space have military training. It's just, we don't talk about it much." "Why not?" "Because it scares people," Minho said simply. "It's easier to make friends when people see us as harmless. And we are harmless to our friends. But to people who threaten our friends..." He gestured at the unconscious pirates. "This happens." Krith sat down heavily. His legs wouldn't hold him anymore. His scales were still pale with shock. "I thought I knew you." he said quietly. Minho knelt beside him. You do know me. Everything I've shown you is real. The tea, the friendship, the care I have for you. That's all real, Krith. This, he gestured at the pirates again, this is just the part I didn't show you. But it doesn't change the rest. You could have told me. Would you have believed me? Minho asked gently. If I had told you on our first meeting that I was a soldier, would you have shared tea with me? Would we have become family? Krith thought about it honestly. No, he admitted. I would have been afraid. Exactly, Minho said. And I didn't want you to be afraid. I wanted you to know me, the real me, before you knew about the rest. Taijun was already calling the authorities, reporting the pirate attack. In his report, he made it sound like they had gotten lucky, like the pirates had been incompetent. He didn't mention his brother's combat skills or his own ship's weapons. Krith watched all this and slowly began to understand. Humans weren't just pretending to be harmless. They were genuinely kind, genuinely friendly, genuinely caring, but they were also survivors from a death world, and survival had taught them to be very, very good at fighting when they needed to be. The galaxy doesn't know, Krith said. They think you're all like you pretend to be. We're not pretending, Minho insisted. But yes, they don't know the whole story. Maybe that's better. Maybe everyone is happier this way. Krith looked at his friend, this small human who drank tea and laughed easily, and had just taken down 3 armed pirates in 15 seconds. Maybe, Krith said. But they should know. They should understand what humans, the Galactic Council chamber was more crowded than usual. News of the pirate incident had spread quickly, and everyone wanted answers. Doyen stood in the center of the room, very aware of all the eyes watching him. Beside him, Hana waited calmly, and behind them stood a human military liaison named Suho. Vexthar's crystalline form pulsed with agitated colors. Ambassador Doyen, we are confused. The pirates reported that a human trader defeated 6 armed attackers single-handedly. Then a human cargo ship threatened 5 pirate vessels and made them flee. This does not match our understanding of human capabilities. Humans defended themselves when attacked, Doyen said simply. Isn't that allowed under protected species protocols? Of course, Rilnash clicked. But the manner of defense concerns us. We reviewed the security footage from the pirate ship. Your trader moved with military precision, and the cargo vessel had weapon systems that were not listed in any registry. Did the humans break any laws? Hana asked, her voice level. The council members looked at each other. Finally, Vexthar said, No. Technically, no laws were broken. Protected species may defend themselves when council protection is not available. But we granted you that status because we believed you needed protection. Now we wonder if we were misled. You weren't misled, Doyen said. We do need protection. Our population is small, our territory limited. We couldn't stand against a major military power. But we're not helpless either. We're survivors. Survivors, Rilnash repeated. From a death world. Perhaps we should have asked more questions about what that means. A council member that resembled a floating jellyfish spoke up. We reviewed your application files more carefully. You provided current military data, but very little historical information. We wish to understand this better. Tell us about Earth's history. Doyen glanced at Hana. She nodded slightly. They had prepared for this moment. Our history is long and complicated, Doyen began. Humans have existed in our current form for about 200,000 years. For most of that time, we fought each other. Civil disagreements? Vexthar asked. Political disputes? Wars, Suho said bluntly. The military liaison stepped forward. He was older than Doyen and Hana, with scars on his hands and a directness in his manner that made several council members uncomfortable. Constant brutal wars. Over territory, resources, beliefs, sometimes just because we could. He pulled up a holographic display. Images from Earth's history began to play. Battlefields. Weapons. Destruction on scales that made the council members recoil. This is one war, Suho said, highlighting a particular conflict. It lasted 6 years. It involved most of Earth's nations. 60 million humans died. The council chamber went silent. 60 million was a staggering number. Some species in the council didn't have populations that large. One war, a council member whispered. Surely that was your worst conflict, your most terrible mistake. No, Suho said flatly. That was just one of the big ones. We've had thousands of wars throughout our history. Some lasted for decades, some killed even more people. He changed the display. Now it showed weapons. Chemical agents, biological weapons, and finally nuclear bombs. These are atomic weapons, Suho explained. We invented them about 300 years ago. The first ones were used in war. 2 cities were destroyed in seconds. Hundreds of thousands died immediately. Many more died slowly from radiation. Vexthar's light had gone dim with horror. You used such weapons on yourselves? Yes, Suho said. And then we made more. Better ones. Stronger ones. At one point, Earth's nations had enough nuclear weapons to destroy our entire planet several times over. We called it mutually assured destruction. If anyone launched their weapons, everyone would die. That is insane, Rilnash said. All his usual composure was gone. Why would you build weapons that could kill your entire species? Because we were afraid of each other, Hana said quietly. We didn't trust that the other side wouldn't attack first, so we built weapons that made attacking pointless. If you destroy me, I destroy you. No one wins, but you survived, Vexthar said. You didn't destroy yourselves, barely, Doyen said. We came very close several times, but eventually we realized we had a choice. Unify or die. So we unified. It took another 100 years of small conflicts, but we finally stopped fighting each other. Suho changed the display again. This time it showed more recent history. Humans working together, building together, reaching into space together. We didn't become peaceful because we evolved past violence, Suho said. We're still capable of incredible violence. We became peaceful because we chose to be, because we got tired of burying our children, because we finally understood that we were stronger together than apart. A council member that looked like a tree made of blue crystal spoke up. But your current military is small. Your weapons are basic. We assessed this before granting you membership. Our current military is small because we're a small population, Suho agreed. We have no interest in conquest. We genuinely want to be part of the galactic community. But small doesn't mean helpless. Every human who travels into space has basic combat training. Many, like the traitor who was attacked, have extensive military backgrounds. We don't advertise this because it makes other species uncomfortable. So you deceived us, Rilnash said, did we? Hana challenged. We submitted accurate data about our current capabilities. We never claimed to be helpless. You assumed we were based on our size and appearance. That's not our fault, Vexthar considered this. Perhaps you are right. We saw what we expected to see. Small, soft creatures who needed our protection. His light pulsed with what might have been embarrassment. We were patronizing. A little, Doyen admitted, but we understood why. We're new here. We look harmless. We act friendly. It's natural to assume we're not dangerous. But you are dangerous, another council member said. We can be, Suho corrected, when we need to be. But we don't want to be. That's the difference. He pulled up more images. These showed human culture, art, music, the things humans had created when they weren't fighting. We're not just warriors, Suho said. We're artists, scientists, builders, dreamers. The violence is part of our history, but so is all of this. We contain both. The capacity for terrible destruction and the desire for beautiful creation. Most of the time we choose creation. And when you choose destruction? Rilnash asked quietly. Suho met his eyes. Then we're very, very good at it. Because we've had thousands of years of practice. The council chamber was silent for a long moment. The council members were processing what they had learned. These small, friendly humans with their art and music and emotional expressions were also battle-hardened survivors from a world that had tried to kill them in every way possible. Finally, Vexthar spoke. We need time to discuss this. Ambassador Doyen, your protected species status will remain for now, but we may need to reconsider the terms. A species that can defend itself so effectively may not need protection. With respect, Doyen said. We do need protection, not from pirates or small threats, from the big ones. If a major power like the Vorn Collective decided to attack Earth, we couldn't stop them. Our military is good, but it's small. We need the Council's protection for threats we can't handle alone. And in return, Vexthar asked, we'll keep doing what we've been doing. Trading, making friends, contributing to the community. We just want to be part of the galaxy. We don't want to conquer or dominate. We've already been down that road on our own world. It leads nowhere good. Rilnash clicked thoughtfully. I believe you, but I think the Council needs to understand something. We granted you protected species status thinking you were prey. Now we discover you're also predators. That changes things. We're both, Hana said, just like most species are. The difference is, we're very aware of both sides of our nature. We work hard to keep the predator part under control, but it's still there, and it comes out when we or our friends are threatened. Your friends, Vexthar repeated, like the Thraxian merchant. Exactly, Doyne said. We bond quickly, we care deeply, and we protect fiercely. That's just how humans are built. The council discussed among themselves for several minutes, using languages and concepts the translator struggled to follow. Finally, Vexthar turned back to the humans. We will table this discussion for 6 months. In that time, we will review all data about human capabilities and history. We will also observe how humans interact with the broader galactic community. Then we will make a final decision about your status. That's fair, Doyen agreed. As the humans left the chamber, Suho leaned close to them. They're scared now. That might not be good for us. They're not scared, Hana said. They're just understanding us better. That's good in the long run. I hope you're right, Suho said. They didn't know it yet, but the galaxy was about to get a much better understanding of what humans were capable of. The Vorn Collective had been watching the council proceedings with great interest. They had heard about the protected species that could fight. They had seen the footage of human combat capabilities, and they had made a decision. If humans were dangerous, they needed to be eliminated before they became a real threat. The Vorn began preparing their fleets for war. Not a small raid or skirmish. A full militer. The distress signal came at midnight, Earth time. It was Krith's voice, broken and desperate. This is Krith of Thrax. Our homeworld is under attack. The Vorn Collective has invaded. They're bombarding our cities. Please, anyone who can hear this, we need help. We need... The signal cut off. At the Galactic Council station, emergency sessions were called immediately. Vexthar's light pulsed with agitation as reports came in from the Thraxian system. The Vorn have sent a full invasion fleet, Rilnash reported, his mandibles clicking rapidly with stress. 20 warships. Ground forces. They're not raiding. They're conquering. Why? Asked a council member. The Thrax are peaceful. They have no military threat. What does Vorn gain from this? A message, Vexthar said grimly. They're testing us. Seeing if we'll enforce the peace treaties. We must respond, someone said. With what? Another council member countered. If we send our fleet, the Vorn will see it as an act of war. The peace treaty will collapse. We could be looking at a galactic war. The debate continued. Hours passed. The council argued about treaties, about consequences, about the greater good. They discussed and debated while on Thrax, cities burned. No one noticed the human ship that left Earth's orbit the moment the distress signal arrived, or the dozen other human ships that followed it. They moved fast, faster than anyone expected from a species with limited technology. Commander Yunji sat in the captain's chair of the Earth defense ship Indomitable. The name was optimistic for what was technically still classified as an exploration vessel, but the Indomitable had teeth that would surprise most of the galaxy. Time to Thrax system? She asked. 43 hours at maximum speed, her navigator reported. Make it 40, Yunji said. Push the engines. Across the ship, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. Many of them were former military. Like most humans who crewed deep space vessels, they had been traders, explorers, scientists. Now they were soldiers again, and the transition happened seamlessly as if they had never stopped. In the cargo bay, Minho was checking his gear. He had volunteered immediately when he heard about Thrax. Tajin was there too, along with 50 other humans who had dropped everything to help. You know this is crazy, Tajin said, checking his weapon. We're one ship going against a Vorn invasion fleet. Krith is my friend, Minho said simply. His family is down there, I know. That's why I'm here too. Tajin smiled grimly. Dad would be proud. Or horrified, maybe both. Jiwan was on the bridge coordinating with other human ships. She had been running the cultural exchange program yesterday. Today she was a communications officer, managing tactical data like she had never stopped being one. 3 more ships just confirmed, she reported to Yunji. That makes 15 human vessels total, all converging on Thrax. Good, Yunji said. We'll need every ship we have. At the Galactic Council. They were still debating when a junior aide interrupted the session. Honored Council, we're receiving reports that human ships are moving toward the Thrax system. The council chamber fell silent. How many ships? Vexthar asked. 15 confirmed, possibly more. They're moving at speeds that exceed our data on human vessel capabilities. Rilnash pulled up the tracking data. They'll reach Thrax in less than 2 days. Do they understand what they're facing? The Vorn fleet will destroy them. Someone contact Ambassador Doyen, Vexthar ordered. Immediately. Doyen was already on his way to the council chamber when they called him. He had known this would happen. The moment Krith called for help, he knew humans would respond. Ambassador, Vexthar said as Doyen entered. Your ships are moving toward Thrax. You must call them back. The Vorn Collective will see this as an act of war. Against who? Doyen asked. We're not council members attacking Vorn space. We're a protected species responding to a distress call from our friends. You'll be destroyed, Rilnash said. The Vorn fleet is overwhelming. Your 15 ships can't stand against 20 warships. Maybe, Doyen said. Maybe not. But we have to try. Why? Vexthar asked, genuinely confused. The Thraxians are not your species. This is not your world. Why would you risk your lives? Doyen looked at him steadily. Because Krith is Minho's friend. Because the Thraxians have been kind to us. Because they need help and no one else is coming. Isn't that enough? The council had no answer for that. On the Indomitable, Yunji was preparing her crew for what was coming. I won't lie to you, she said over the ship-wide comm. We're outnumbered and outgunned. The Vorn have bigger ships, more weapons, and they've been fighting wars since before humanity left Earth. They think we're soft. They think we'll run when we see what we're facing. She paused, looking around the bridge at her crew. They looked back with calm, determined faces. They're wrong, Yunji continued. We're humans. We're from a world that tried to kill us every day, and we're still here. We're from a species that fought each other for thousands of years, and we learned everything there is to know about fighting. We're small, we're new, and we're about to show the Vorn Collective what happens when you threaten our friends. The crew cheered. It wasn't a wild, chaotic cheer. It was controlled, focused. The sound of people who knew what they were doing and were ready to do it. 40 hours later, the human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Thrax system. The Vorn fleet was in orbit around the planet, bombardment continuing. Yunji opened a communication channel to the Vorn flagship. This is Commander Yunji of Earth. You are attacking a peaceful world. Leave now or we will force you to leave. The Vorn commander's response came back quickly. His translator made his laughter sound like grinding metal. You are the humans? The ones the council calls adorable? How sweet. You have come to die for your friends. Very touching. His tone turned harsh. You have one chance to leave. Run home to your protected species shelter or we will destroy you. We're giving you the same chance, Yunji said calmly. Leave Thrax, now. 15 ships against 20? The Vorn commander laughed again. You cannot be serious. Deadly serious, Yunji said. I'm sending you something. Information about humanity. Our history. Who we are. Read it. Then decide if you really want to fight us. She cut the connection and transmitted a data packet. Earth's military history, wars, weapons, tactics, everything Suho had shown the Council and more. On the Vorn flagship, the commander reviewed the data with growing disbelief. 60 million dead in one war, nuclear weapons used on their own cities, thousands of years of constant conflict? It's a trick, he decided. Psychological warfare. They're trying to scare us with fake data. But there was a hesitation now, a small doubt. These humans had come to fight against overwhelming odds. Either they were suicidally stupid, or they knew something he didn't. All ships combat formation, the Vorn commander ordered. We'll destroy 5 of their ships. The rest will run. Then we can finish with Thrax. The Vorn fleet moved into position. 20 warships, each one larger and more heavily armed than the human vessels. By every standard metric, the humans should lose. Yunji watched them come. All ships execute pattern Delta. Remember, we don't need to destroy them. We just need to hurt them enough that they leave. Pattern Delta confirmed, came responses from the other human ships. For Thrax, Minho said over his comm from the Indomitable's cargo bay, where he and the other ground teams waited. For our friends, Jiwon added from her station. The Vorn fleet fired first. A massive barrage meant to overwhelm the human ships through sheer firepower. But the human ships weren't where they were supposed to be. They had scattered in patterns that seemed random but were carefully calculated. The Vorn fire hit empty space. The human response was immediate and precise. They didn't have the firepower to match the Vorn ship to ship, so they didn't try. Instead, they targeted specific systems. Engines, weapons, communications. surgical strikes that disabled rather than destroyed. And they moved. Constantly, unpredictably, in ways that made the Vorn targeting computers struggle. The humans fought like wolves, not like soldiers. They worked together, covering each other, attacking from unexpected angles. What are they doing? The Vorn commander demanded as his tactical officer struggled to track the human ships. They're using irregular patterns, the officer reported. Not standard military doctrine. They're adapting to our responses in real time. They're improvising, the commander realized. And that terrified him more than anything. Standard military tactics could be predicted, countered. But these humans fought like they made it up as they went along. Each decision based on what was happening right now, not what the textbook said should happen. One Vorn ship went dark, engines disabled. Then another. The humans weren't trying to win through firepower. They were trying to cripple the fleet, make it unable to continue the attack. Pull back to defensive formation, the Vorn commander ordered. This wasn't going as planned. They had lost 3 ships already, and had only managed to damage 2 human vessels, neither critically. On the Indomitable, Yunji allowed herself a small smile. They're regrouping. Perfect. Launch the ground teams. Minho and the others loaded into dropships. Their mission was simple. Get to the surface, help evacuate civilians, and give the Thraxian defense forces whatever support they could. As they fell through Thrax, the Galactic Council chamber had never been this crowded. Every member species had sent representatives. They all watched the same live feed, transmitted by news drones in the Thrax system. Humans were fighting the Vorn collective. And winning, this is impossible, someone whispered. But it was happening. On the screen, small human ships danced around larger Vorn warships, moving in patterns that shouldn't work but somehow did. The Vorn had numbers and firepower, but the humans fought with a combination of precision and chaos that was baffling to watch. They're not following standard military doctrine, a military analyst explained. They're adapting constantly. Each ship responds to what's happening around it in real time, not waiting for commands from a flagship. It's like watching a school of fish, but with warships. Humans are pack hunters, Hana said quietly. She stood beside Doyen, watching her people fight. We evolved to hunt in coordinated groups. Every individual makes decisions, but we work toward a common goal. It's instinctive. On Thrax's surface, Minho's team had landed in the middle of a burning city. Foreign ground forces were everywhere, rounding up civilians. The Thraxian defense force was scattered and overwhelmed. There, Taejun pointed. Civilians trapped in that building. They moved quickly and quietly. The Vorn soldiers didn't see them until it was too late. Minho's team hit them from 3 directions at once, using stun weapons to avoid lethal force when possible. The Vorn went down confused and disoriented. Clear, Minho called. Get those civilians out. Krith was in that building. He was injured, his scales cracked and bleeding, but alive. When he saw Minho, his eyes widened with disbelief. You came, Krith said. You actually came. Of course I did, Minho said, helping his friend to his feet. Your family. We protect family. But the Vorn fleet is getting their tails kicked by Commander Unji, Taejun said with a grim smile. Now let's get you and these civilians to safety. They moved through the city, gathering survivors, fighting Vorn soldiers when they had to, avoiding them when they could. More human teams were landing across the planet, each one operating independently but somehow all working together. In space, the Vorn commander was in panic mode. He had lost 5 ships now, 5, against a force that should have been easy prey. His remaining ships were damaged, his crews demoralized. Commander, the humans are hailing us again, his communications officer reported. Yunji's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined. This is your last chance, she said. Leave now. Take your ships and go. We won't pursue you. You're offering us terms? The Vorn commander's voice was incredulous. You have 15 ships against our 15. We're evenly matched now. No, Yunji said calmly. We're not. You've lost 5 ships. We've lost none. Your crews are tired and scared. Mine are just getting started. You came here thinking this would be easy. It's not. Cut your losses and leave. The commander looked around his bridge. She was right. His crew looked defeated. They had expected to face primitive warriors, maybe some determined defense forces. Instead, they had encountered something that fought like nothing they had ever seen before. Why do you care about these lizards? He demanded. They're not your species. This isn't your fight. Yunji's expression hardened. They're our friends. That makes it our fight. You wouldn't understand that, would you? Your people don't have friends. You have subjects and enemies. That's your weakness, and yours? We care too much, Yunji admitted. We form bonds too easily. We feel too deeply. But that's also our strength. When you threaten our friends, we become something you can't predict or control. We become dangerous. On the council station, Vexthar watched this exchange with growing understanding. They're not fighting for territory or resources. They're fighting for emotional reasons. For friendship, is that better or worse? Rilnash wondered aloud. I don't know, Vexthar admitted, but it's certainly effective. The Vorn commander made his decision. All ships prepare to withdraw. Commander, no, one of his officers protested. We outnumber them. We can still lose more ships, the commander cut him off. Look at our damage reports. Look at their ships. They're barely scratched. Whatever these humans are, they're not the weak prey species we thought. Retreat. Now. The Vorn fleet began to pull back. On the surface, Vorn ground forces received the order to evacuate. They scrambled for their transport ships, leaving behind their equipment and their prisoners. Minho watched them go from the rooftop where his team had set up a temporary aid station. Krith stood beside him, leaning on him for support. They're leaving, Krith said, hardly believing it. You made them leave. We gave them a reason to leave, Minho corrected. They could have stayed and fought. They chose not to. That's smart of them. Because you hurt them. Because we showed them the cost would be too high, Minho said. That's different from just hurting them. We could have tried to destroy their ships. Instead, we disabled them, made them useless. That's scarier to a military commander than simple destruction. It shows control, precision, purpose. Taijin joined them. All human teams reporting in. We have wounded but no fatalities. Civilian casualties are high, but we saved thousands. Local defense forces are regrouping. Good work, Minho said. Then to Krith. Tell me about your family. Krith's scales rippled with grief. My mate and children were in the northern city. I don't know if they survived. Then let's find out, Minho said. Come on, we have transport. Across Thrax, similar scenes were playing out. Human teams were helping search for survivors, providing medical aid, distributing supplies. They worked alongside Thraxian forces, showing them techniques for urban rescue, sharing their resources freely. Jiwan coordinated relief efforts from orbit. She had transitioned again, from communications officer back to humanitarian worker. The ease of these transitions was starting to make sense to the watching galaxy. Humans weren't soldiers who pretended to be civilians. They were both all the time, switching between roles as needed. The Vorn fleet has jumped out of the system, Yunji reported to the council via open channel. Thrax is secure. We're beginning relief operations. Commander Yunji, Vexthar said, his voice carrying across the broadcast. On behalf of the council, I must ask, did you know you could win? No, Yunji said honestly. We thought we'd lose, but we had to try anyway. That's what you do for friends. That statement rippled across the galaxy. Hundreds of species heard it. Thousands of beings watching the news feeds processed it. Humans had gone into a fight they expected to lose, risking everything. For beings that weren't even their own species. Because of friendship on Earth, Hijin, the Prime Minister, was dealing with the political fallout, emergency council sessions, demands for explanations. Some species were calling for sanctions against humanity for military aggression. Aggression? Hijin said to Doyen during a private call. We saved an entire world. They're scared, Doyen explained. For months they thought we were harmless. Now they've seen what we can do. That's terrifying to them. What do we do? Tell the truth, Doyen said. All of it. Let them see the whole picture. At the council station, Yuna was experiencing the changing attitudes firsthand. The other engineers she worked with were treating her differently now. There was respect in their eyes, but also wariness, distance where there had been warmth. Yuna, Kelesh said carefully, are all humans trained to fight like the ones at Thrax? Most of us have basic training, Yuna admitted. Is that a problem? It's concerning. You've been working here for 6 months. I trusted you. But now I wonder if you were always capable of violence and I just didn't see it. Yuna felt something break inside her. Kelesh, I'm the same person I was yesterday. The only thing that changed is what you know about me. I haven't lied to you. I've just never had a reason to show you that part of myself. But it's there. Always there. Yes, Yuna said honestly. Just like it's there in you. You have defense mechanisms, survival instincts. Mine just happen to be more developed because of where I come from. But I've never used them against friends. I never would. How can I know that? Yuna thought about that question. You can't, you have to trust me. Just like I've been trusting you all this time. Trust isn't logical, Kelesh. It's a choice. This conversation was happening across the galaxy. Humans everywhere were facing questions from friends and co-workers who suddenly saw them differently. At the Galactic Council, an emergency session convened to address what they were now calling the human question. We cannot ignore what we saw, one member said. Humans are a military power. They defeated a Vorn fleet. They saved a world, another countered. Without human intervention, Thrax would have fallen. And we would have negotiated its release, the first member shot back. Through proper diplomatic channels, not through violence. Your negotiations would have taken weeks, Doyen said, standing to address the council. Thraxians would have died while you debated. We acted because someone needed to. Because we could. That's the problem, Real Nash said. You have the capability to act militarily and you've proven willing to use it. What stops you from using that capability for conquest? For expansion? Our choice, Hana said. The message arrived 3 weeks after the Battle of Thrax. It was brief, direct, and terrifying. The Vorn Collective declares war on humanity. You have interfered in Vorn affairs, humiliated our forces, and proven yourselves a threat to galactic stability. We will eliminate this threat at its source. Earth will burn. The Galactic Council chamber erupted into chaos. They can't attack Earth, someone shouted. That violates every treaty. They just declared the treaties void, Real Nash pointed out grimly. And they're not wrong that humans interfered at Thrax. To save lives, Doyen said, but his voice was tight with fear. Not for himself, but for his home. For everyone he loved. Vexthar's light pulsed rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. We must respond. If the Vorn attack a protected species homeworld, it sets a terrible precedent. Then send the fleet, Doyen demanded. Protect us. That's what the protected species status means, isn't it? It's not that simple, a council member said. Mobilizing the fleet takes time. The Vorn could reach Earth before we... How long? Hana interrupted. How long until the Vorn fleet reaches Earth? Real Nash checked his data. They're already en route. Full mobilization. Not 20 ships this time. 200. They're sending everything they have. They'll reach the Sol system in 72 hours. And the Council fleet. 6 days at minimum. I'm sorry, Ambassador Doyen, we can't get there in time. The room fell silent. Earth was going to face a Vorn armada alone. Doyen looked at Hana. Her face was calm, but he could see the fear in her eyes. Not for herself. For all the billions of humans who would die if the Vorn fleet reached Earth. Then we defend ourselves, Doyen said quietly. With what? Vexthar asked gently. Your fleet saved Thrax, but that was 15 ships against 20. This is 200 warships. Even with everything you have, you cannot... We'll do what we have to do, Hana said. She was already moving toward the exit. We need to get home. On Earth, Yunji had received the same message. She stood in the command center of Earth's defense network, looking at the tactical display that showed the approaching Vorn fleet. 200 ships, her tactical officer said quietly. That's more than we've ever faced. More than we've trained for. How many ships can we field? Yunji asked. 40 combat-capable vessels. Maybe another 30 civilian ships we can arm, plus our orbital defenses and ground installations. Against 200. Yunji shook her head. We're going to lose, Commander. Her officer looked shocked. I'm not giving up, Yunji clarified. I'm being realistic. We're going to lose ships. We're going to take casualties. But we're going to make them pay for every meter of space, every second of time. We're going to hurt them so badly they'll remember Earth forever. And if that's not enough, Yunji looked at the planet displayed on the screen. 7 billion humans, thousands of cities, countless lives. Everything humanity had built over thousands of years. Then we make sure some of us survive to rebuild, she said. Start evacuation protocols. Children and elderly first. Send them to the colony worlds. If Earth falls, humanity continues. Across Earth, preparations began. It wasn't panic. It was organized, efficient, and heartbreaking. Parents put their children on ships heading for safety. Civilians with military training reported to defense stations. Scientists and artists created backups of human knowledge and culture, sending it to distant corners of the galaxy, just in case. Minho and Taejun were on Earth when the news came. They had just finished helping with Thrax's recovery efforts. Now they stood in their childhood home looking at the city where they had grown up. "I'm glad Mom and Dad didn't live to see this," Tajan said quietly. "They'd be proud of us, though," Minho said. "We helped Thrax, we did the right thing. And now Earth pays the price, maybe." Minho turned to his brother. "But would you change what we did? Would you have left Thrax to burn?" Tajan thought about it honestly. "No, I'd do it again, me too," Minho said. "So let's make sure Earth doesn't fall. What do we need to do?" They reported to the Defense Coordination Center. So did Jiwan, Yuna, and thousands of other humans who were scattered across the galaxy. They all came home. If Earth was going to fall, they would fall with it. Suho stood in the military command center reviewing defense plans. He had fought in many conflicts during his life, but never anything like this. "We've been holding back," he said to the other commanders. "We showed the Council some of our capabilities. We showed the Vorn some more at Thrax, but we didn't show them everything." "You want to reveal our full military capacity?" one commander asked. "We don't have a choice," Suho said. "The Vorn are coming with everything they have. We respond with everything we have. No more hiding. No more pretending to be less than we are." Orders went out across the system. Hidden defense platforms activated. Military installations that had been disguised as research stations came online. Ships that were registered as cargo vessels deployed weapon systems that shouldn't exist according to Council records. Earth had been preparing for this day since humans first left their world. They hoped it would never come. But they had prepared anyway because that's what survivors do. 72 hours later, the Vorn fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system. The Vorn Supreme Commander looked at his tactical display with satisfaction. 200 ships. The largest fleet the Vorn had assembled in decades. Earth would fall in hours. "Send them our terms," he ordered. "Unconditional surrender or we destroy the planet." The response came from Yunji. She appeared on his screen, and he was surprised to see she was smiling. "You made a mistake," she said calmly. "We have 200 ships. You're outnumbered 10 to 1. What mistake could we possibly have made?" "You attacked our home," Yunji said. "At Thrax we were fighting for friends. Here we're fighting for family, for everything we are. You're about to learn the difference." "Brave words from someone about to die," the Supreme Commander said. "Last chance, humans, surrender." "No," Yunji said simply. "Come and take it." The Vorn fleet advanced. As they entered the inner system, Earth's defenses activated. The first wave was the defense satellites. Thousands of them, hidden among space debris and commercial satellites. They fired in coordinated volleys targeting the Vorn ship's sensors and communications. "Automated defenses," the Supreme Commander said dismissively. "Destroy them and continue advance." But as his ships fired on the satellites, something else happened. Ships began appearing from behind Luna, from the asteroid belt, from orbital paths where they had been running silent and dark. Not 70 ships, more than 200 human vessels. Where did they come from? The Supreme Commander demanded. "They were hiding," his sensor officer said, voice shaking. "They've been here the whole time, running dark. We couldn't see them. And they weren't the cargo ships and exploration vessels the Council knew about. These were purpose-built warships hidden from the galaxy for years. Smaller than Vorn ships, faster, and designed for one thing: defending Earth." The battle began in earnest. The Vorn had numbers and firepower. But Earth had home advantage and desperation. Every human in the fleet knew that behind them was everyone they loved. Every city was their city. Every life was someone they knew. They fought like nothing the Vorn had ever seen. Not with careful tactics or measured responses, with controlled fury. With the accumulated violence of a species that had spent thousands of years learning how to kill efficiently. Minho's team boarded a Vorn ship that got too close to one of Earth's stations. They moved through the corridors with brutal efficiency, using techniques that made the Vorn soldiers retreat in confusion and fear. These weren't just warriors. These were persistence hunters evolved to never stop, never quit, never give up. In space, Yunji coordinated the defense with cold precision. When a Vorn ship destroyed one of hers, she didn't flinch. She adapted. When the Vorn changed tactics, she changed faster. She was playing a game the Vorn didn't understand, where losing pieces didn't mean losing the game. "They're not fighting to win," the Vorn Supreme Commander realized with growing horror. "They're fighting to make us lose." It was true. Earth's ships couldn't destroy the entire Vorn fleet. But they could make the cost of victory so high that victory became meaningless. They rammed damaged ships into Vorn vessels. They detonated power cores and suicide runs. They used tactics that no sane species would use because they weren't sane. They were desperate, and they were effective. After 6 hours of battle, the Vorn had lost 40 ships. Earth had lost 70. But Earth kept fighting with the same intensity, while the Vorn were starting to break. They won't stop, the Supreme Commander said quietly. Even if we destroy every ship, they'll fight from the ground. If we land, they'll make us pay for every city. This isn't a battle. It's a war of extermination, and they're willing to die to the last human. A message came from an unexpected source. The Galactic Council fleet had arrived 4 days early. They had pushed their engines beyond safe limits to get there. Vorn fleet, this is Council Prime Vexthar. Stand down immediately. The Council will not permit the destruction of a member world. They attacked us at Thrax, the Supreme Commander protested. They defended Thrax from your illegal invasion, Vexthar corrected.